Welcome back to the Pipeline of People podcast, the show for founders who want cleaner decisions and better weeks. Today's episode is all about how successful executive coaches are evolving and what the rest of us can learn from the way they're thinking about technology, attention, and authenticity. Today's guest is Joshua Schulman. He's an award-winning speaker and founder of Schulman Communications Interactive, where he helps leaders master communication in high-stakes moments. From Shark Tank contestants to corporate teams, Josh has trained hundreds of executive coaches across industries in everything from public speaking and business English to chess, poker, and even stand-up comedy. Because for him, it's all about communication. Josh, welcome to the show. I know I gave you a quick intro there, but if you want to give some more background, that'd be great.
Wonderful. It covers quite a bit of things. It's all part of my Ikigai, sometimes we talk about. Have you ever heard of that concept? It's Japanese. It means reason for being. You take something you love to do, that you're good at. Does the world need it? And can you get paid for it? If you can kind of converge those four things, that's bliss. I think we're all kind of aspiring to try and do that. Over the years, I think I took good, diligent notes, and I was able to kind of put it into format as a consultant and a coach, and I encourage people to do that. I encourage people to take notes along the way. There's a lot of very interesting knowledge and information that they have that they can bring to the world, and if they get laid off in their 40s or 50s or 60s, it may be problematic trying to find another position. And so something like that could leverage what they understand and know. And now with AI, and we'll talk about that a little bit today, where that's coming, what does that mean for people in regards to their own employment?
Yeah. Ikigai, that's a little bit of a new one for me, but I do like Kaizen. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Sure.
But it's just the get better 1% every single day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff. There's another concept on that just called Kintsugi, which it deals with if you drop a vase and it cracks, you put it together, but you do the seams with gold and silver. And now that item, that heirloom, that family thing, whatever it might be, has more value and meaning to you. And I have to tell you, from my own vantage point, that's been interesting for me. I'm a cancer survivor. I've broken 13 bones in my life. I've had 5 knee surgeries. This is a total knee replacement. So I've often looked at that. My girlfriend calls me Humpty Dumpty. I like the idea of okay, any injury or element that I deal that's called living life. And, you don't get through this crazy thing called life unscathed, hopefully not too serious, right? But there's a lot we can learn from those experiences. So I think Japanese culture offers a lot for us to kind of look at and give us a better perspective. And it's pretty cool.
All right. Well, I want to start kind of with the bigger picture here. Your coaching style blends classic disciplines like public speaking, body language, theater, with some more modern mediums like virtual reality, even AI. What do you think? Why do you think executive coaching needs that kind of range right now?
Well, it offers something different. I think people forget when you're presenting, why don't you just send me the deck? Because we want to be engaged. Nobody will say this. HR, training and development, management, no one will say this to you, but what they want to be is entertained. How can you give me the information that's on the paper and make it more real and more exciting? So we have limited ways we do that. We could do it live, but you know what? That's not as viable these days. Zoom or meeting and Teams and stuff, those are really cool. When COVID hit, my business 10X, I had always had online components, like a hybrid of live workshops and seminars and coaching that I did here in LA. Got a big backyard. We got 17.8 million people. It's not that hard with my groups and programs. But when COVID hit, brother, I put everything online. Now I'm doing over 70 sessions a week, one-on-one group classes on 8 time zones. People in Beverly Hills, I'm about 40 minutes away with traffic and everything. They say, come on out to the office. I said, no. It'll take me an hour to get to you, an hour session, an hour back. I could do 3 groups in that. So we want to work smarter, not harder. So now the element, I've been working in the space of VR for a long time. So from the very first VR, the Oculus headset before they bought them, right, to all the different incarnations, to now we're using the Metaverse, the Meta Quest 3. This is just one of the devices. I use PlayStation. I use a bunch of the other ones, trying to find the distinction between gaming and what we can use from a coaching standpoint. So I have a building in the Metaverse, in Meta Horizons. This is Meta's version of it, which right now is the only one that really has this kind of structure. I have an actual building with auditoriums and classrooms and workshops and seminars. I can have my public speaking courses and programs, seminars. I have one coming up on October 18th about how to start a coaching business. And it's an interesting opportunity for people to participate in VR. That's not gaming. Right? I call it edutainment. It'll be funny and interesting and engaging and a great way for people to learn how to start maybe a business they've wanted to do. But I teach chess and poker, and I have acting classes and voice and stand-up. All the things I do in real life, Jaden, I do it in VR. And it's just different. It's one other element. Would you believe, though, most people don't have it? Most people, unless I'm working with people specifically in the fields, and a lot of engineers and IT people that I work with typically anyway, gravitate to this and they know and use the device, but your average person's not. But they'll catch up. They'll catch up. And it's changing. The form function will change, right? The headsets, these will be, we're already seeing Meta glasses that came out. So I've just introduced them, the newer version, at Meta Connect 2025. But as we're going forward, I mean, they're just simple glasses. And who knows what with nanotechnology and other things we'll be utilizing virtual reality, metaverse environments, not just animated avatars, but actually high-res, hyper-realistic avatars of our person. Now, you combine that with AI and stuff, that's a very interesting way to scale a business. And hopefully it's authentic. I think people are going to want to get away not just from AI, they're going to want HI and EI I talk about, which is emotional intelligence and human intelligence. I think we'll go back almost old school to, I want to go hear a speaker, an orator speak, because I know that's a real person on stage, as opposed to, I don't even know what I see or read on our phones, if that's, if it's AI, if it's not. I think it's important for people, they're getting sophisticated, not everybody. And so we're seeing a lot of people, of course, have challenge with trying to adopt to AI, particularly older folks as well, because it could be troublesome in regards to how that's been used for security issues and hacking and all kinds of other concerns.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen that a whole bunch. People like, I don't believe in AI. What do you mean you don't believe in it? It's here.
It's here.
It exists. It's like, I don't believe in this mug. What are you talking about?
And schools are readdressing that, right? Schools are readdressing that. At first, they said, we don't want that because of cheating and this. And then they realized, whoa. We're doing a disservice to young people if we're not teaching them how to embrace and understand this new technology. Within weeks, days, it is becoming exponentially faster, different, growing. Its obsolescence is a serious problem. I mean, come on, it used to be a year, 2 years, new tech. Now it's like 6 months, 3 months. It's, 2 weeks. And so hardware and all the other things can't keep up with that. And so we're seeing some really interesting, this is a really interesting tech revolution that we're going through right now that is fascinating. So content creators, whatever that might be, but people who have actual real information to share and to teach, and then those who have understandings of technology, they can converge and work together. Like I'm working with a lot of folks on that. You can't have every expertise, and you got to be able to find ways that symbiosis, we can bring it all together and make sure a marvelous convergence, if you will. We're still human beings, and we're going to need these things. And we're going to want these things, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the VR stuff that you do is, I've never seen anyone done that. I think it's very innovative. It's very, you mentioned about like capturing attention. And I think that's a huge problem today, especially with like the kind of domination of short form content. Everybody's on TikTok. Like everyone's just kind of, the attention spans are
attention span is shorter than ever before. I teach that in the public speaking. I mean, we have to shift the way we actually present. 5 reasons, 5 things, 10 hacks, so that people can, wait, what are you saying? Oh, I better take notes. I'm going to write down what you say. I'm trying to kind of capture that because I only have a finite amount of time. And I think we got to be careful with some of this doom scrolling stuff. It's really not only occupying a lot of time, it's people getting kind of complacent and lazy about, I don't need to learn this or know this. Or my programs, my courses are all built on things that I just love to do that I thought there was a connection. At chess in the beginning, I've always played chess, loved it. I'm not a grandmaster. I'm pretty good at the game, but I'm really good at teaching it, explaining it to a 4-year-old, an 8-year-old, right? A 94-year-old. In fact, I get a kick out of it because I converge those with communication classes, Jaden. When an 8-year-old says, Coach, none of my friends know how to play chess. I love that. That's an opportunity. Really, kiddo? Because I'm going to teach you how to teach them. See, we call that train the trainer. By 23, you'll be in management at Deloitte. By 27, you'll have your own business. And parents are really loving that. I can only have a finite amount of kid programs right now because I have a lot of corporate and team programs. And it's not about the money angle, but it's just, I make sure, by the way, I have kids programs in the middle of my day. Even on the weekends, I work 7 days a week because the kids are really struggling with how they get across their ideas and they need it. And I love it. And it's just, it breaks up the day, it mixes up things. It's part of my Ikigai. And if I'm straightforward with what it is that really gives a sense of purpose and acknowledgement, I think there's things we can learn from that. Even like Ben Franklin back in the day had that thing called a schema where he would write down in the morning, what good shall I do today? And at the end of the day, Jaden, he would write, what good have I done today? We need to do that. We need to reconcile those purposes. This will give people a stronger sense of purpose when they feel very defeated or all of this is outside their grasp so that they can take ownership of it and then move forward. And that could be entrepreneurship. I joke about that a lot. I mean, because I think people are just chasing salary and health insurance. Take me to your leader, particularly in the States.
Yeah.
Or helping Bob, as I joke, build his dreams, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you obviously offer a diverse range of services to a variety of people, right? And I'm curious to know, you've worked with Shark Tank people to execs at places like Amazon and Apple. Like, what patterns do you see at the top? What are the successful leaders actually doing differently and how they communicate?
Yeah, there's no there. People who are successful, who truly are sincere and want to get to these next levels in their lives, there's no there. They don't get there and go, I've arrived. They don't just buy a bunch of stuff to show and tell people, look what I've achieved. They just want to learn and understand more. When people say to us in life, just be yourself, I think that's problematic. I think it's kind of lazy because what people say is, just be myself. Well, we're not wanting to be ourselves. We want to be the next version of ourselves, right? I'm 58 years old. I'm nowhere near where the elements of things that I want to achieve or do or learn are. And if we always have that, and I talk about sometimes this notion of CQ, curiosity quotient, right? Everybody talks about IQ and, EQ, emotional quotient. Those things are wonderful and how smart you are. Who cares? You and I know people who just regurgitate stuff, right? They heard on the news the night before. But this curiosity and then how that leverages with dealing with difficult people too, like AQ, adversity quotient. And my most favorite one is LQ, love quotient. Do you care about what you're talking about? We have an expression, practice what you preach or change your speech. I say practice what you preach or don't even give the speech. You've known me a little while, but I love this stuff and I care about it. This is one of the challenges we're having in business and in product and services that people don't necessarily, which is why attrition and retention is so high in business development, because you can't find people who really are 110% behind their product or service. We're only focused about how they can make money as opposed to what does this fill? What is not just the offering, but what does the service do? What is the solution for a problem? I love working with sales teams. And guess what? Sales folks typically like to play poker. And so when I started doing clinics and bringing the connections between poker, the game of poker, chess too, but poker particularly, with decision-making faster, problem-solving better, reading people, body language, mitigating error and mistake, all of these dynamics, they go hand in hand. And so we can use that effectively then to win more consistently, or in sales or business to increase our close ratio. Our close ratio is way too low in business today. We accept 3%. A third, right? 3 out of 10 maybe presentations to close. That's not right. We got to work on that.
Yeah, I agree. Do you notice that the LQ, AQ, all that stuff is a kind of generational thing? Like, I've seen studies that are saying, Gen Z's kind of checked out, but millennials are working harder than ever. I mean, you see that whole range of people every day.
I don't want to be Delulu, as the kids say, right? Because, there is an issue where we're all looking, right? And everybody, I talk about mediocrity. There's no mediocrity in communication. The kids reference that as mid, right? Just this idea that we are having more and more generations now that are disparate. We become very tribal. We see it in politics. We see it in our world. We see it in sports, right? We see it in anything. But generations are saying, you know what? We are our own people. We don't understand you folks. We don't get you because you're 5 years or 10 years older than me, let alone 15, 20, 25. I think we need to do that, is study each and every one of these disparate viewpoints, what they grew up with, how they look at the world, what they care about, what they don't. Things are changing, right? Younger people want more experiences than just buying things. Yeah, even a home, the idea of the American dream has shifted and changed. One, because of the capacity to get it. Two, what does it mean if you have it? Because if you have a home and you're so excited that you're a homeowner, but you can never go out to eat, or you can never go on vacation, or you can never do this or do that because of your mortgage is 80% of your income, that's problematic. So I think sometimes our perspectives perception, which are different, are problematic. And I think that's why I work with everybody, every age grade. If people are sincere and serious, Jaden, I want to work with them because I'm really intrigued to see how they approach things. And, these 22, 25, 27-year-olds are our new managers in business, and they're going to come with their perspective about things, and everyone else is going to have to adjust also. And they do too. And they need to as well, and not just call everybody who doesn't know or is a little bit older an unk.
Yeah, my brother and his friends are starting to call me Unk. Makes me feel old, but yeah. As these 25, 27-year-olds are kind of stepping into management, like you said, the kind of technology side of things from the younger generation, that goes with them, right? But the market's noisier than ever. People are juggling Slack, Zoom, Loom, LinkedIn, all these different communication platforms, right? And all of them have different tones. What have you seen in terms of how communication is changing and how
Well,
great
I'm amazed
coaches are
because I do
helping
a lot of
execs
weekly
adapt?
seminars and programs, and I encourage everybody, please be on camera. Even smaller groups, 3, 5, 15. They say, well, we don't do that. I said, why? Why don't you look and connect with everybody? I got 6 monitors here. It's kind of like Matrix. I'm not looking at I have your image up there. I'm not looking over there. I'm looking right at you. In fact, people need to learn the skill set of how to use virtual meetings. I'm looking at the lens the whole time. There's a lot of difference than looking at, hey, Tom, hey, John, hey, Wendy, how are you? Hey, John, what's up, Tom? Hope you had a nice weekend. Wendy, I got your email. You know what? Let's talk offline. That element of infusing this use of this technology more effectively instead of all these other things that are distracting. There's a lot of apps and things we're using to congregate, to get together that are not really all that effective. And I'm about efficiency. In fact, my favorite word, they use it in pharmaceutical, of course, efficacy. We need that as humans. We need to be more effective in our communication, the words we use. We need better vocabulary, words that color and encapsulate what we're trying to say. We have to get rid of the ums and the uhs and the likes and the you knows and the he goes, she goes, and all of this element. Not about, even fancy words or showing off, but we have better words to express ourselves and say things. And this is challenging because I don't think we're utilizing our time effectively, and we're not getting across our ideas, and we're having too many distractions, things that can pull from our message. Even as we're talking, you're probably wondering, is that a background, a photo? This is my actual office. People trip out. I mean, I can actually take a book off the shelf, right? Back up when I'm talking to young folks, and I don't have a collection of books. In fact, my claim to fame is when a 10-year-old chess student of mine, a little girl, the dad says, Coach, my daughter, she wants a bookcase for Christmas. Do you have any suggestions? Mic drop. My work is done. She wants to take her books off the floor and put them neatly on the shelf. There we go. First we learn, then we drop the L. So there's elements, I think, that all the generations can work and interact with each other. A book is not old school. A book is compiled, it's edited, it's published. It's very, very useful, right? When I'm reading, by the way, I'm not reading like, oh, one day maybe I'll use this. No, I'm reading because you know what? Boom, this is great. Jaden and I were just talking about this the other day. Here's my highlighter. Boom, I'm going to make some annotations on it, bring it up in coaching session. Then it has intrinsic value. And I got to read things 4 or 5 times. And many of us do, where it's hard to get focused in at any of our ages now, not because of age, but because of just so many distractions. And so I think if younger people were to use some of these tools are fantastic. I mean, there's some great apps that can be very helpful and increase efficacy. My goal is not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. We talk about Shark Tank. I don't work for ABC or the studio. In fact, I tell my clients, I don't really care if you get on the show. I want to prepare you for real seed round funding where you got to explain your financials and the fundamentals of your company. The genesis of your company and how it originated and started is really cool. It could be interesting, but that's not getting a check for cap raise.
Yeah.
I think these things help tremendously. And there's a lot of people I work with where someone loves the idea and they take it from here and they say, thanks, kid. We got it. And then they put their own team in.
Yeah. It's quite interesting. I like the perspective that you have. But I want to kind of focus on the tech side of things, right? We mentioned the VR, the AI, the immersive tools, not to replace human coaching, but to scale it, right? You said your business 10x during COVID.
Yes.
What does it look like inside your programs or your
Well,
coaching
let me show you,
curriculum.
because this is exciting, because I don't want to have, I have some trainers, but I don't want to have 500 trainers, live trainers. And I could for each and every one of my disciplines: chess, poker, acting, Lloyd, stand-up comedy, all the things I teach, sales training, business English, which is a big component. That's why I have so many clients all over the world on 8 time zones, because English as a second language is a thing. And it's a real challenge for people to get promoted to managerial levels, not just definite articles and plurals and pronouns and prepositions and idioms, but also vocabulary. But you and I know native speakers can't tell you the difference between a metaphor and a simile, or onomatopoeia, right? Or malaprops, alliteration, anaphora, all those really cool rhetorical devices we use. I don't mean to get too nerdy. But what we're doing now that I'm excited about is that this will utilize AI for scale, where I can go and film, and I'm doing this right now, where we film I have over 200 modules. I have a core group of program with 8 solid modules that I can actually present to camera, create that into my avatar, as my avatar, have it on my VR. People can go in my auditorium, select row J, seat 6, and boom, for whatever, $25 or whatever they want. We're figuring out the price point on that. Fill up the auditorium, and those auditoriums are going to get bigger and bigger as we scale, right, with capacity. That I'm not even there. And yes, I can even do Q&A and respond to people as my avatar, because I can record these things. We've been doing things like this way back. If you think about Madden, the video game, John Madden's he's left us long ago, but you can still hear his voiceover at times, not on the newer ones, but about the play-by-play, because he just recorded the various things. There's a finite amount of reasons or issues. When I give feedback to my clients about, how many times they said, or and their arm going up, or how that is distracting, or maintain eye contact, or what you do with your hands when you're speaking, or how to structure better your presentation, or how to be funnier, right? How to utilize humor, not being a comedian, but actually making us engaged and laugh, and even extemporaneous speaking, where they say, hey, Jaden, come up here. What do you think about such and such? And boom, 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 you can expatiate confidently and comfortably on that. I can do that now. And with AI, it'll be there, and they'll be able to take my course. And there's going to be live seminars and workshops in real scenarios that they could go and pay perhaps more if they want to work with me directly, whatever we can do. So there is opportunity, huge scale opportunity and development of that. So it can't just be content creators. This is where it's going to be a challenge for TikTokers and YouTubers, because a lot of that is just built on clickbait, watch this, and there's nothing ever there. And then what about all these people in their 40s, 50s, 60s who've got a lot of there? They have a lot of experience. They have a lot of things they could bring to the table, but they don't have any tech savvy or understanding how we can even utilize this. And everybody's not sure. When my clients say to me, Coach, you need to make a YouTube channel. No, I don't. That's not my goal, is to be an influencer. I do podcasts a lot, and I love it. I appreciate it. And, where can people find me? You'll ask me maybe, and people can reach out to me. But the main element is that people can really learn from that. I don't want to be working for YouTube and chase followers and likes. That's not an interesting thing to me. I don't work for people for a reason. Most people don't like working for people for a reason. And if your followers and likes diminish, your revenue diminishes. Goodbye. That's why people are so stressed with what was going on and still going on with TikTok about how that's going to affect their livelihood. Because remember, they've been spending 5-10 years, God bless them, making these great videos, getting all these followers. But if that dries up, what will their work be? What would they do? And I'm not saying you have to go get a regular job. There is no such thing as regular jobs anyway right now. In fact, families, everybody is reconsidering what they're going to major in college. What are they going to study? Is there a definitive ROI? What values are we going to bring to the workplace? What are we going to do? And what does the world need?
I agree. And the AI for content creators, like you mentioned, it's they are sort of cracking down on it. Like, people don't like the AI slop, as they call it. And now Sora 2 just came out.
Oh, yeah. I saw about that.
And while it is good, people are starting to complain like this, we don't really.
Well, people passed away shouldn't be used their likeness, right?
Yeah.
The Screen Actors Guild were complaining about actors who are being used. Elon Musk makes a joke about it, how many movies we're going to have. We don't have enough content on our streaming services. You're not done for the rest of your life on Netflix alone if you just chose all the contents there. If you have a zillion different content films that are made completely AI based on algorithms of action and this and romance or what have you, are you going to care? Is it, that's not a real person.
Yeah.
That wasn't Leonardo DiCaprio who actually put those thoughts together and ideas to emote. Yeah. Concerning.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely going to shake up a lot of industries. We like to call it the biggest business transformation since the
What's the
Industrial
biggest word we
Revolution?
use in business? In the last 15 years, 20 years, the word disruption.
Yeah.
People love to disrupt. But you can't just disrupt for no reason, right? You look at certain sequences of certain industries. Listen, the carriage industry in 1919 started to really get hit hard when they realized the cars were coming in. And this was one of the biggest industries, and then it was gone, right? The only time people ride horses now is for pleasure. It is not a source of transportation. And even
Yeah.
Uber, which, as you know, years ago was really exciting in the sense it did disrupt the cab industry, which is already strife with all kinds of issues and flaws. And then suddenly everybody who had a car or a license can drive. They weren't necessarily skilled or very good at it. I've never felt really confident and comfortable behind in the backseat of an Uber car around the country or around the world, quite frankly. And now with robo-taxis and all the self-driving cars, it's going to be very interesting how that shifts. So all those people who got a job are going to be out of work. What will they do next?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. AI now is like the internet in the 90s, right? But
Well, the internet in the 90s, particularly the late 90s, that little bubble burst was pretty exciting and interesting circumstance. So people weren't sure what was coming next. The internet was a major revolution. Steve Jobs' presentation, by the way, of the iPhone in 2007 was considered the most effective business presentation in the history of commerce. When you think about what that iPhone does. So now remember, we have a new generation. They only know access to information.
Yeah.
Super fast. They are only knowing now even AI. So I find it interesting, though, we still have ignorance, right? When people say, well, coach, that's before my time. Really? There are things that are before my time that I'm really, really well versed on. How are you not knowing about this, that, and the other? Robert Redford, the very famous actor, probably arguably one of the most famous actors of the 20th century, going into the 21st, who passed away a few weeks ago. And many, many people, most of my clients had no idea who he was. Which
Yeah.
is not a gotcha thing. I mean, look, there's people even before my time. I wasn't as familiar with them, but I still know they were noteworthy or there was something of value that they brought. And I made sure. Yes, I've seen all the movies of those. Even now, I see all top 10 movies nominated for Best Picture. Most people don't do that. These are good stories. They're not big marketing engine films. They're important. I think we got to learn and use storytelling better in conveying ideas, speaking, and song, music, of course, even books. There's so much great storytelling. The streaming services, some of them are fantastic, some of the shows. We just got to figure out how do we manage all our time with this, and including all the films as well. But I think people look at those kinds of things as an escape, Jaden. They say, I just need to escape the world. You don't need to escape the world. Look at film, television, or any of the things you use as your entertainment as a window to look, how do they live their life? What do they do? What is it like in that period of time in history? How do those people get by that struggle? Whatever those things are. That's what we should be looking for and gleaning from, as opposed to, I just need to escape the struggles of life. When people say, and I work with a lot of young folks, but coach, life is hard right now. Being adult is not the same as when you were coming up in the 80s. I said, wait, hold on a sec. Who's got their thumb on you, right? Who's holding you back from doing what you need to do? Start really taking an inventory of who and what circumstances are being problematic for you so you can move forward and make the decisions that are better for you and your family and your life, not just lifestyle, but life.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. So for founders or execs or just people who feel like they're not natural communicators or maybe more introverted, what's your advice or message to them?
I don't think it is a natural ability. I don't think it's an affinity or some sort of talent. I think it's a skill set. Anybody can apply it. In my program, I break this down from the elements of nerves and anxiety. I know what they are. I know how to get rid of them 100%. I know how to deal with eye contact, gestures, who you're looking at, what you do with your hands, vocal variety, how to avoid the dreaded monotone, and how to avoid uptalk, right? That question inflection where people are going up in a question or ums and uhs, and structure. How do you organize better your speeches and facilitate conversations? Myriad of things, even time and goal management, how we can get things done. All of those things, I think, are all skill set and not natural ability. Just real quick on that, a number of my clients are Indian and Chinese, and in Asian culture, the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. But in North America, Jaden, the nail that sticks up actually, interesting, gets opportunity, advancement, promotion, recognition, reward. It's a different philosophy. In fact, it has nothing to do with introversion or being an extrovert. It's not about being shy. It's about that culture, quite frankly, is more humble, and they're like, don't be the one that stands up. But here, if you want to seek entrepreneurship or opportunity, you got to be the one that stands up. And that is just essential. HR, training and development, are telling me every day, this is our biggest challenge with our employees. They are not contributing in meetings. If they're not contributing in meetings, they're too nervous and anxious and afraid of being judged and evaluated. And all that is nonsense. We got to put the cap on and say, let's do this. And that will help them tremendously, I think, so they can get to the next stage. And it's not just our degrees or education, because, in the United States, education is very expensive. One of my buddy's kids, I went to USC for college back in the day. It's now $100,000 a year. He told me his daughter's just graduated, 22. She's struggling with job interviewing. Can you help her out? I'm like, dude, you just spent $500,000 on education. What are you getting from that? What is it that they should be and can be able to do? So we need to look at those elements from that so we can say, you know what, this is the best use. So I get more and more young people reaching out and saying, my folks won't give me money for college, but they'll give me money for education. And so I have courses designed that can be one participle, one part of an area that they can learn of real important skills. I call them skills successful, kids implementing life lessons. I've been doing that for teens and young people for years, but I think a lot of people need that. There you go. That's my lightning round. A little long answer, but I had a lot to cover on that one point that you mentioned, whether it's natural, because people think it's natural and it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I like that kind of view on it. Okay. So what is one surprising skill from poker or chess that applies to leadership?
Reading people and body language is essential. People sometimes are very good at it. They kind of rely on it, but they don't recognize it in that moment. We do that in job interviewing. There's all kinds of scenarios where we're using skills of poker and understanding what we call tells and behavior that people do. And also incongruencies. In the game of poker, we have some betting sequences, right? We have pre-flop, flop, turn, river. Each betting sequence, there's a bet, there's an action. And if somebody does something that's incongruent, that doesn't make sense within that, you have to recognize that doesn't make sense. When I'm working with people who are starting up a company, there's a little BS that they talk about in regards to how much money's earned or this or that. And there's questions you can ask to be able to determine that in regards to get, the truth. Right? Trust but verify in life. That's an important thing. There's a lot of fake it till you make it, act as if. I don't believe that exists in this. The things we talk about as skill, the number one question people ask me is confidence. Joshua, I want to build confidence. Okay, that is competence. That you can do it and do it again and again and again. And if you can replicate that, that's sustainable. You got it forever. You'll never go out of work. You'll never be hungry.
Yeah, that's good advice. And speaking of advice, the final question I have is, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
If you want advice, ask for money. If you want money, ask for advice. Think about it. Grandpa Irving told me that
that's
years
a good
ago.
One. That's a unique one.
And I think people are always looking about the transaction, what they get. If you have a great idea, you want to bring it to market, don't ask the big rich guy for money. Ask him for advice, what you think you might be doing. You're very excited about the traction you're getting. People are really interested. Let him or her say, you know what, that's a great idea. How do I get in on that?
Okay. All right. Well, Josh, this was packed with insight. Great episode. Thank you so much for joining. For anyone listening or that wants to get in touch with you, where can they find you, where they can connect with you?
You can find me on my website, www.getcoachingfromsci.com. Just go to the contact page, reach out to me. I'm pretty responsive. And also feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. There's a myriad of videos and podcasts and things I did on there that you might find interesting. And connect with me. It's not just what you know in this crazy life. It's who you know and who knows you. So I'm on all socials, on Instagram, Facebook. You can find me on anything. Just pull up my name, Joshua Schulman, and you'll find me. If you go to my website, there's bounce pages at the top of the website to all the links to all the various sites as well.
All right. Thank you so much. Until next time, this is the Pipeline of People podcast.